Hello and welcome to our audience. It is pleasure to bring to you a session to discuss different aspects of undergraduate education at IIT system. Today, our guest is Professor Dheeraj Sanghi, a professor of computer science and engineering at IIT Kanpur. He had an exemplary career as an academician, as an administrator. He is currently on deputation from IIT Kanpur and is serving as the director of Punjab Engineering College. He has been engaging with IIT JEE aspirants directly through his blogs for years. It is our pleasure to have him with us today. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let us start with the most basic question. Enlighten us about your journey as a student in your undergraduate life.
Oh, well, like everybody else, I also gave JEE, got through a decent rank. And while today I might suggest to people to look at multiple IITs, multiple programs, think about what you want to do in life, etc., etc., I myself didn't do any of that stuff, right? I just looked at last year's closing ranks and said IIT Kanpur Computer Science is the highest closing rank, and therefore I went there. Okay. Indeed, after going there, I said, this is not what I want to do. And I applied for branch change. And I had an interesting conversation with the clerk in Dean Academic Office, who refused to even accept my request for branch change. And he said, you got to go and talk to people in mathematics, that's what I wanted to study. And the faculty in mathematics said, you must be stupid if you want to change from computer science to maths. And I said, if maths faculty doesn't want me, so I will continue as a CS student. So, I continued as a CS student. And then I decided that, a lot of academics is not what I really want to focus on. Being in the middle, we are 16 students, having a rank of 6, 7, 8 is good enough. You don't want to be number one. And that allowed me to do everything else in life. I was in every committee, I was in sports, I was, in hostel administration and so on and so forth. I think I really enjoyed my 4 years. And then I decided to go abroad for my master's and PhD, and that's my small take on my undergraduate education.
Okay, so now as you know that JEE advanced results are going to be declared. So students will be making the difficult choice of IITs and which department to choose. So can you tell us more about how that can help the students?
Okay. I think till last year, I would have suggested that people should think about 3 or 4 IITs that they want to choose and go and visit them. And I think, people only look at last year's closing rank typically, and they hope that this is, reflective of great placement in future and all that kind of stuff. Okay. But I can tell you that even in 1982, when I got through my JEE, while eventually I went through the last year's closing rank and selected Kanpur, but I did visit IIT Bombay, I did visit IIT Delhi, and I did talk to many people from IIT Kanpur. I didn't visit Kanpur, but I did talk to students of IIT Kanpur. And that's like almost 40 years ago when travel in summer was extremely difficult. Okay. So I have always believed that when you visit places and you talk to people, you get an understanding of whether you will be happy there or not. And I think unless you are going to be happy in a particular campus, it's not going to be very useful to you. This year, what is the equivalent you can do? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure different IITs will do some Zoom sessions and some, places where you can meet students online and so on. If there are any such things, please take advantage of that. But that's the number one thing. If you can't do any of that, then at least think about looking at, faculty quality, quantity also. And there you will find that, the so-called first generation IITs, the older IITs, and the second generation IITs like Gandhinagar, they have all reached a point where the quality of faculty is very good. The number of people who can offer the variety of courses is very good. So they are like in one category. And if you look at the third generation IIT, they're still building up. They're still, they have small faculty. Many of them don't even have a proper campus and so on. So I would definitely say that, the first 2 generations of IIT should be preferred over the third generation IIT, because you're not going to get as many choices in your courses. You're not going to get as much interaction with faculty. Diversity is important and so on and so forth. And then it really depends on, what is your preference, in the sense that, is there any passion that you have. Now, I know that in 11th and 12th, students would have done JE coaching for a very, very long time. 80 hours a week is very common. So they may not have built any passion. They may not have thought about things. In that case, be honest to yourself. I have seen enough people who would say, oh, I'm interested in computer science. I say, okay, what have you done in computer science? No, I'm interested. I just love when computer is around me, right? Now, that's not passion. That's not interest. You have heard many people talk about, computer science is a great upcoming thing, and therefore you are interested, but that's not passion, right? So be honest with yourself. And if you don't have any passion, any interest, and you are not able to travel to any place, and you are not able to find out any information, then of course, last year's closing rank, right? But I would say try as hard as possible to get as much information, and don't use last year's closing rank, because you're going to miss out on a lot of important aspects. For example, if I just talk about IIT Gandhinagar, I've been there at least 60, 70 times in the last 10 years, right? And I know how much flexibility students have, how much fun they can have there while doing good academics, right? You guys can be around in the summer, or you can go all over the country in the summer. I think that's a great learning. I'm told almost 30% or 40% of undergraduate students are able to at least visit a foreign country once in their 4 years. I think that's a great learning, right? So if you are not able to travel to an IIT and talk to various stakeholders, you will miss out on this kind of information. And then, the last year's closing rank will not be giving you that information. So try as much as possible to learn things about each program, each IIT. If possible, talk to people. I think that's how you select a program.
Yes, very well said. But there are several agencies like NIRF or Times Higher Education that put a significant influence on the decision of the students, like their rankings. So how important do you think are the rankings of such agencies?
So I think rankings are, an indicators. They don't mean too much. And it's like, all these students, of course, have done maths very well. If I were to ask them to compare two vectors, can they compare two vectors, right? Of course not, right? So you can similarly, educational, and why can you not compare two vectors? Because you have multiple dimensions, right? A multi-dimensional thing cannot be compared unless you have a function which converts that multiple dimensions into one dimension. So you can think about an XY dimension and then say, okay, I'm going to take a distance between 0, 0 and that point or whatever. That really means nothing, right? So similarly, educational institutions are multi-dimensional, right? They're doing teaching, they're doing research, they're doing, other development of your life, right? And within teaching, there may be good departments, there may not be such a good department, right? How do you take an institution which maybe has 100 different parameters, 100 different things it is doing, and then bring it down to one number, and then say I'm putting a linear ordering based on that one number? I think whenever you convert 100 numbers into one number, you lose huge amount of information, right? And therefore rankings can at best be an indicator, but cannot be the sole purpose or sole reason to select an IIT. Secondly, even within that thing, rankings have a lot of weight on research and perception. These two are the highest weighted things in rankings, right? Now, research depends on size. Okay? If you have an old IIT with 10,000 students, its research will be more, its ranking therefore will be more, because it's not per capita research that many of these rankings measure, they look at size, right? So therefore, I would think that within IITs, one should not look at NIRF ranking or any other ranking. They are all good institutions, and rankings will not give you any additional information.
Yes, sir, I completely agree. Any ranking cannot define a college performance. Coming to the next question, sir, students usually consider the previous year's placement of the institution they are about to choose. So, sir, how do you think should the placements affect the student's choice of choosing any college, for the matter of fact?
Yeah, so I think placement is one aspect which I really don't think one should look at. I mean, again, at the end, you will ask me, what should I look at? Because I'm saying, typical things that people look at, I think they're all wrong. Okay, so let me explain to you why looking at placement is not the best thing to do. Why should one look at placement? Because one would argue that I want to look at return on my investment. I'm spending 4 years, I'm spending 10 lakh rupees. What is my return on investment? Right? Now, return on investment means that, I mean, is it only in terms of money? Right? All right, let's assume it is only in terms of money. Right? Now, you are going to earn money for the next 50 years. So in fact, you add 4 years of your undergraduate education and then you're going to work for 50 years at least. So you are saying that, 55 years from now, what is it that I should do today so that 55 years from now, I'm the richest? Okay. Does this question even make sense? I don't think it makes sense. You're essentially asking me to be an astrologer, right? This is pure astrology, nothing else. Of course, people ask this question mainly because, in India, all of us love astrology. You ask your neighbor, what branch should I choose based on money? He will tell you what branch to choose based on money, right? So everybody believes astrology and therefore, people, but I somehow don't believe in astrology and I don't think anybody can really predict what is going to happen 50 years from now. And one easy way to see that you cannot predict 50 years to say, whatever is happening today, was this predicted 50 years ago? That's easy, right? Just ask your grandparents. Could they imagine this world? Right? So if they couldn't imagine this world today, how can you be sure that you can imagine and predict correctly what the world is going to be 50 years from now? Right? So I think the right question to ask is, am I getting reasonable return on investment? Unfortunately, the answer to that question is, irrespective of which IIT and which program you choose, you will get reasonable return on investment. So therefore, this question doesn't give you any additional information, right? Now, okay, so somebody may change this question slightly and say, okay, I'm not bothered about lifelong earning, right? I'm bothered about what is it that I'm going to earn in the first 10 years of my career, because that's what, when I have the maximum number of commitments and I really want to enjoy life at that time and blah, blah, blah. So can you not predict just the next 15 years or so, right? 4 years of education and 10 years of job, right? And I will argue that no, I cannot predict even that much, right? I cannot predict even 5 years from now, right? Secondly, when you talk about placement, are you predicting 15 years? No, you're only asking me, what is the salary I can get in my first 1 month of job after BTech? That's the number you are looking at, right? Is there any correlation between first month salary and 10 years earning? There is none. Okay. Is there any study anywhere in the world which gives this correlation? Nowhere, right? Lastly, suppose there is correlation. Do you really know this number? I can give you examples. I've talked to people in different colleges. Tomorrow the placement season is about to start, right? And today you are claiming that you have gone through all the placement data, statistics, which company should apply, blah, blah, blah. And then I've talked to this guy and say, okay, share me your perception about last year's placement. Since you're so well prepared for placement, your college, everything you're claiming, right? And the data this guy gives me is so completely wrong that it is not funny, right? So I'm saying that even the students of that college don't know data. And I mean, they don't know data in the sense that they have a perception. See, what happens in a college is, I get a 20 lakh job, I give a treat to my entire wing. So everybody knows 20 lakh job. I get a 5 lakh job, I don't even tell anybody that I have a job, right? So the perception on the campus is there are many 20 lakh jobs, right? So even the student on the campus doesn't know the data. How come you as a 12th class student in a remote place will know this data? If you don't know the data, then why are you even bothered about it, right? So I think placement is completely irrelevant, to even think about as even one parameter to consider for which IIT to go to. And to just give an example of how irrelevant this is, if you look at the last 15, 20 years, anybody joining IIT Bombay will tell you IIT Bombay has great placements. Okay. I have asked people in IIT Bombay for their placement statistics, and I knew the placement statistics in IIT Kanpur. Okay. What was happening, last 5 years I'm not involved in all this, but before that, what was happening was that in IIT Bombay, you will find few more foreign companies coming up and few more foreign placements to be there. So Economic Times would have a headline saying this guy got a 1 crore package or 1.5 crore package and so on and so forth, right? So there are maybe, there are 10 people in IIT Bombay who have a foreign package, and maybe there are only 5 people in IIT Kanpur who have this foreign package. So if you just compare that, then of course IIT Bombay is better than IIT Kanpur, right? But if you look at median, if you look at the percentage of people who have got jobs, if you look at the same company going to IIT Bombay and IIT Kanpur, how many offers it makes in Bombay and how many offers it makes in Kanpur, Kanpur statistics was way ahead of Bombay throughout this period, right? But you talk to anybody going to IIT Bombay, he will say, oh, I'm going there because it's great placement, right? So, I think the statistics that you have through Quora or other social media is so completely wrong, and therefore you should ignore it and just focus on quality of education, and that means quality of faculty, quality of infrastructure, what kind of interaction people will have, what kind of culture you have on the campus. And that's why I said in the beginning, the only good way to select your campus is by visiting them or talking to people on those campuses. Everything else can be ignored very easily.
That's a great answer, sir. I guess the key point is that the students should not pay a lot of attention on the placements of the institute when they are choosing their college. Coming to the next question, sir, knowledge base of every subject is increasing at an unforeseeable pace, and research has been playing a major part in this. So, sir, can you throw some light on the research opportunities at IITs?
I think that's a very good question. How do IITs expose students to UG research? So, you have many assignments and projects in various courses, right? And if the instructor is very active researcher, then typically the projects that they will give you are very current, the kind of work the person is doing himself or herself. He will give you similar projects as the course projects, right? That's one aspect. The second aspect is invariably all IITs, all programs will have a final year project, the BTech project, right? That's a significant piece of work that you're supposed to do. And again, if you choose to do with a person who is active researcher, even in IITs, you would know some faculty members would not be as active researchers, right? So if you work with an active researcher, he's likely to assign you a problem which involves some research. Right? In addition, different IITs will encourage you to stay back in the winter season or the summer season. Summer term is about 3 months vacation, and winter you have about a 1 month vacation, right? So if you really enjoy working with some particular faculty member on some problem, stay back for some time and work with that faculty member. That's the next model. Also, outside IIT you can do research. A lot of IITians go for summer research in other institutions across the world. Right? So that's another way to enhance your research or knowledge in terms of what is latest going on. Right? However, I think I would also like to caution that while many students love to do research, and which is great, creating new knowledge and all that kind of stuff, I think again at the undergraduate level, but at the admission time, to think that this is what you may want to do and this is what you would look at a parameter is probably, has value, but limited value. It has value in the sense that I would like my instructor to be active researcher so that in the course that I'm learning, I have the latest information and I'm doing projects which are enhancing that latest information. To this point, I would definitely want my instructor to be an active researcher, right? But whether I am interested in doing research for the whole 3 months of summer or not, I do not know as a 12th class student, right? And every IIT will have enough good researchers. I mean, 90% of the faculty will be active researchers in every IIT. So therefore, don't worry about this. There is enough opportunities for research in all IITs. But a lot of students after joining IIT may say, I don't even care for a core job. A lot of people are going for finance and other kind of jobs, which is okay with me, right? And many people are doing MBA and so on. So therefore, just focus on, like, I want to learn new things, but whether I will be able to do 3-month research in summer, that's not something that you should worry about at the admission time.
Right, sir. Coming to the next question, major problems in today's world require people from different backgrounds to come and work together. How do you see the relationship between different departments at IIT in this context?
So I think this interdisciplinary work, it's also somewhat cultural. I think if you look at it from the point of view of, official policy of an IIT or what director is saying in IIT, I think nobody today will say interdisciplinary work should not be there or should not be encouraged, right? So every director will say that, every senate will say that, right? But I think some places are able to do that much more effectively than other places, right? Particularly when it comes to undergraduate BTech projects, etc., right? There would be departments which will say, you can work with anybody, but you must have at least one supervisor in your department. Now, as soon as you have this kind of restriction, immediately the level of interdisciplinarity will reduce. Right? So if you are concerned about, or if you are interested in multiple things, now many students in 12th class would be interested in multiple things. So maybe this is one of the questions that they should ask. But as I said, officially every IIT will encourage multidisciplinarity and interdisciplinarity thing, and that's really the way to go, right? I mean, you cannot be just good at software, for example, I am from computer science, and hope to climb the ladder without knowing at least a little bit of hardware, a little bit of maybe, robotics, maybe other things, right? So I think it is very important, and interdisciplinarity doesn't have to always come from a BTech project only. You also should look at how much of flexibility is there in the undergraduate curriculum, right? And there again, you will see small differences across IITs. If there are a lot of so-called open electives, that is courses that you can take from any department, right? Then you will have greater chance of doing things in other departments. And this is particularly true for people, who are likely to join so-called less popular departments, right? You find that many students, they join a less popular department and they are kind of discouraged all the time. Oh, why have I joined this and so on. But if an IIT has a lot of open electives, then they know, look, I can be a student of department X, but I will be able to do courses in department Y, which is more popular. Right? So I think many IITs these days are starting to have more open electives so that people can do interdisciplinary courses, learn multiple things. And so both from teaching as well as from the project point of view, people can do interdisciplinary stuff.
Well said, sir. I completely agree. Coming to the next question, students sometimes make mistake in choosing their branches. In what ways do you think IITs give them a chance to get out of this situation? Perhaps you can throw some light on branch change and taking up minors while they are at IITs.
So in fact, I would say a lot of people make errors in choosing their programs, right? Because as a 12th class student, what do you know? And particularly this year is going to be worse because you aren't able to travel and ask people questions, right? So IITs don't handle it very well, right? I mean, the way to handle this is essentially two. One is give a chance to change the major, right? So all IITs would have some branch change policy. So at the end of 1 year, based on some rules, you are able to change from program 1 to program 2. Unfortunately, what happens in that is that every IIT has very restricted policy that you can only increase the strength of a department by 5% or 10%, or you cannot you cannot reduce the strength significantly of the department which is less popular and so on, right? Therefore, I would never advise anybody to look at branch change as a way to take decisions. Branch change should be a hope after you join a department, join an institute. You should work hard and try to see if you can get branch change, but not at the time of admission. You shouldn't say, I should join this IIT because I'm sure I can get a branch change. That surety should not be there. But what IITs have started doing is to handle this problem is the other aspect that you mentioned, the minor. Right? So many IITs today have significant number of open electives, and they will allow students to do minor in the other discipline. Right? But again, this is not true for all IITs. Right? Some IITs do not have enough credits in the open electives bucket. So, you need to do 5 courses, but open electives is only 6 courses. Do you really want to use 5 out of those 6 in doing a minor and have no other options whatsoever? Right? So you need to find out more details about the program from each IIT. Right? There are IITs, I don't want to name them, but they will say, oh, even in minor, I will put a restriction. Only 20 students can be in the minor in a popular program because the popular program refuses to handle very large class. Right? So I think these are the questions that you need to ask from each IIT. How much flexibility they have in their curriculum, so that if I decide later on that I'm not liking what I'm doing, do I have at least some way out of doing something else, right? So if I have joined BTech in X, yes, I will have to do BTech in X, but can I also do at least 4, 5, 6 courses in discipline Y or Z, right? That is a question that you should ask from each IIT.
Yes, sir, I completely agree. Having an option of taking up minors is really a good thing. Coming to the next question, can you talk about how the classes are being conducted at these times of pandemic and how can these affect the student-professor relationship?
Classes in pandemic times are all happening online, which is good and bad. I think you miss out on a lot of interaction in the hostel, cultural activities, sports, and so on, which is very important aspect of learning. Right? I know some of those extracurricular things can also be moved to online, and people do that. I see in my college here, the dance club is doing dance competitions online. You record your video and then upload and so on. Music club is doing something, and all other clubs are trying to do something. But there is difference between you dancing alone and recording a video and uploading and then people watching that versus dancing on the stage in front of 500 people, right? So I think we are missing out something, and it's not just the students are missing out on something. I think if you ask any faculty member, they are missing students like anything. I mean, keeping interaction with students, even outside the classroom, is what keep us young, right? But in terms of quality of education, so one aspect of quality of education, which is like interaction, hostel things, extracurricular, that I think definitely has reduced significantly, and I hope we are able to get back all the students on campus soon. In terms of quality of teaching learning, I think different faculty members are able to do things differently. Some are very good at online. They have quickly picked up, and I really, sometimes I listen to lectures and I find it amazing that, somebody who has been teaching on a blackboard for 20 years, almost overnight has changed to an excellent teacher online. It's hats off to them. I think faculty members are really working very hard. But then there are some others who have not understood the medium very well. They are not able to really figure out how to make the class interactive. In a physical classroom, I can look at it, look at somebody in the eyes and say, this guy doesn't seem to have understood. I can ask him a question. I can, on a video, how do I do that? Some people haven't quite figured it out. Some people have, some people haven't. So I think overall there is a small decline in the quality of education. But then, this is the kind of event that happens once in 100 years. So if you have missed out on education for a few months, but I'm sure all of us will come out stronger despite all that. So yes, online education is, causing a little bit of problems, but not too much, and it's okay.
Thank you, sir. So as you mentioned in the beginning, getting a branch change was a difficult task 40 years back, and it kinda still is. So how do you suggest students should go about choosing their branch? Because it's quite important and it faces their future prospects too. So how can they decide which branch they are interested in and what are their options?
So 40 years ago, it wasn't difficult. Going from computer science to maths was trivial. I mean, nobody wanted to leave computer science. I said the problem that I faced was that, I go to this office and the clerk looks at the branch change form and he says, "Are you stupid?" And he says, "Have you talked to your parents? Have you talked to a faculty member? I'm not accepting this form unless you have talked to a few faculty members," right? I mean, he had no business saying that, right? He should have just accepted my form. Okay? But it's okay. I mean, I think I've enjoyed my life after that. So there is no regrets. In general, in general, going from a more popular branch to less popular branch is not a problem. Okay? It is really to go from a less popular branch to more popular branch, which is a problem. And I can just hope that IITs, at least at this time, when we haven't been able to do a proper counseling and so on, in this year, students should be treated specially differently and allowed branch change more liberally. Okay. But yes, the student cannot depend on the generosity of IIT, right? Whether they will really change the rules for them or not. So one has to be very careful in taking that decision. Now, I think talking to students and talking to people in industry is really the only way to understand what goes on in a branch, okay? And whether you will like that or not. Whether you will like that or not is still a difficult question, but I think if in your family, if in your neighborhood, there is a mechanical engineer, talk to them. Talk to them about their 4 years, talk to them after, what kind of job they're doing, what are the constraints they find, what do they like about their job, and so on. Similarly, at the student level, if you can meet students of that particular IIT which you are considering, ask them whether they are enjoying courses, they are enjoying life, etc., etc. Right? So gather as much information as possible. And sometime when you talk about these things, there will be some aspects where you will say, "No, I don't want to do this." Right? I mean, for example, there may be a particular branch where people may say, "Hey, you have to be on the shop floor for the first 5 years of your career," right? And you may say, "Look, I can't be on the shop floor even 5 days, forget 5 years." And that's a good enough reason to reject that branch. I mean, see, as I have said earlier, all branches are good. All branches will give you a life which is pretty decent, right? And therefore, if for whatever reason you want to reject something, it's perfectly fine. See, think about it this way. What are IITs doing by taking a JEE exam? They're not selecting you, they're rejecting you. They're only finding people to reject. So you also should just do that. You should find ways to reject branches so that you have a smaller set to select from, right? So you may say, "I don't want to go to 1,000 kilometers away. So all IITs which are 1,000 kilometers away are rejected, right? Or I only want to go to IITs which are 1,000 kilometers away so that my parents can't drop by," right? I mean, just you can be arbitrary about these things, right? So what do you like? That's okay, and so basically, what do you like? If there is something, well and good. Otherwise, talk to people in different industry, people with different backgrounds. If you have 5 branches that you think you might be interested in, talk to 5 engineers and 5 students. That will give you some idea, not a whole lot of idea. If you have more people to talk to more people, right? But ask the right questions. And the right question is not how much money you make. The right question is, tell me about your job, tell me about your career, what do you do? Do you enjoy life? Is there a life? Is there a balance between your work and family? Those are the questions. Are you going to be happy? I mean, eventually we make money to be happy, right? So ask the right kind of questions.
Yeah, definitely that would be helpful. So now that we have seen each aspect individually, can we prioritize about how to take a call on, say, college come department choices? Let's give an example: old versus new, interest towards a particular department. Packages aren't much important, but packages or their city from which they belong, metro city, non-metro city, and flexibility in branchings and other aspects like that.
Okay, let me think. So I think if I was a student today, what I will do is, this closing rank business is not going to go away completely, right? So suppose I have a rank of 5,000. Okay, then I will say, look, anything less than 4,000, there is no hope whatsoever. Right? Forget about that. I'm not even considering that. Right? And so let me look at what are the combinations I can get between 4,000 to maybe 7,000, right? Or 4,500 to 6,500, whatever, right? Now, within this combination, are there non-academic reasons to reject things? And this is perfectly fine. As I said, do I want to reject everything beyond 1,000 kilometers, or do I want to only take in less than 1,000 kilometers, right? Do I want only a place which is very well connected from my home, or do I want otherwise, right? Sometimes, it could be things like earlier on, there were also issues like what's going to be gender balance. Now with 20% reservation, everybody will have the same gender balance. But earlier, those were the issues. I mean, and I wouldn't mind people thinking like that. I mean, that's okay, right? So because of those reasons, and there might be something like, oh, I don't want to join production come what may because of whatever incident may have happened 20 years ago in my life when I was a child. Right? So feel free to reject anything in that group on the basis of whatever rationality, irrationality, doesn't matter. Right? Finally, you should be able to have 5 to 10 options in front of you. Right? And if you have many options in front of you, then toss a coin here. See, why do I have so many options in front of you? Right? Is option number 79 in terms of in the ordering of closing rank and option number 80 very different? No. Right? So it's okay to reject some of them on non-academic grounds. Right? So I think based on whatever irrational things you have thought about, okay, reduce your set to maybe 5, 6, 7, right? And this should be maybe over 3 or 4 IITs, 2, 3 options maximum in each IIT. That's what it will reduce to, right? And then, you should think about what do you like. As I said, talk to engineers, talk to, people in that IIT, talk to students, whatever information you can get about those programs, except placement. Anything else goes, right? Then you should also look at the kind of things we have discussed earlier in terms of flexibility, curriculum, options to do minor, branch change is not very particular, but yes, go ahead, look at branch change as well, And I think once you have all this information, you would be able to take a decision on what you want to, how do you want to prioritize these 7, 8 things that you thought of. So this is how I will do things. Right? One of the things that is missing in all this is, and which is very important once again, I will say, is to understand the culture of the place. And I wish COVID wasn't there and you could go to the campus, talk to people there, and see some campuses are just very attractive, they're very vibrant, you just fall in love with them. And I wish people could do that this time, but that would have been the most important suggestion from my side. Unfortunately, this is a bad year for that.
Yes, we missed that too. So another thing that defines IIT culture is the interpersonal relations between faculty and students, as you mentioned, as faculties are missing students too, equally. So any suggestions on how we can improve it during these times, because students might be away from campus for first 6 months or so, as we are speculating. So, suggestions from them.
Okay, I think for first year students, it's going to be a challenge, right? And, I think unless you have met people face to face or in a small group, it is very difficult to strike a bond. So first year classes are going to be large classes typically, very difficult to know people, personally. And it's okay. If you don't know enough faculty members personally in the first 2, 3 months, that's all right. You still have 3.5, 4 years left in your college. When you come back, I'm sure each IIT would organize different ways of interaction between faculty and students. I'm sure in each department there can be various lectures by faculty members to tell first year students what do they do. So I know in IIT Kanpur we have this welcome of first year where each faculty member talks about whatever they do, and not just in terms of research but their hobbies, and also what kind of administrative role they have, so that if there is any problem students can go to them. Each student is assigned a faculty guide, typically 10 students to one faculty guide in a department. So in Kanpur, we have two kinds of faculty attached with students. One is this counseling service, which is like a faculty guide for miscellaneous things. You have any problem on campus, come and talk to me. And typically this faculty member would have few interactions with each new student. And the second is in a department where anything academic or anything department related, you have an issue, come talk to me. So that's the kind of thing that each institute, I'm sure they will do more of this. Instead of 1 or 2 interactions, you want to do 5 or 6 interactions. In Kanpur, we used to have a Fata cricket match between the students and faculty. I think many things can be done after students have come back to campus. While being online, surely giving some miscellaneous lectures, not necessarily part of the courses. If I am in computer science, then I can just address all the computer science students, 50, 60 of them. But even that to me is a large set that, I will know them. Yes, that will enable them to ask me questions. So if I do this, that, I'm addressing these 15 new students, and similarly other faculty members have addressed them for 20, 30 minutes, something interesting I'm talking about. I may not know any of these 50, 60 students at the end of 30 minutes, but they know me and they can approach me if they want to take initiative. At least that's one way it can be done during the time that we are online. But we'll certainly have to do a lot more when we come back to campus.
Yes, sir, that will be a challenge for this year too. So another question that I may ask is how IITs help in an overall development of a student, say from the time he enters a college to the 4 years journey, that at least 4 years journey that he goes through. So say in terms of co-curricular, extracurricular activities, having clubs, or even in career deciding options like entrepreneurship opportunities. So how do IITs go about it?
I think IITs are famous mainly because they let everybody develop on their own, whatever they are interested in. Right? So the example that you gave about entrepreneurship, I'm sure every IIT would have an entrepreneurship cell amongst the students who would be doing many lectures from entrepreneurs, who would be advising, if you want to set up a company, what are the issues that you will need to worry about, and so on. Similarly, at the institute level, there would be typically an incubation center, which will have its own policy on how to evaluate startups and so on. So as of today, I think every IIT from the student side has an entrepreneurship club, and on the institute official side, there is an incubation center. Right? I think it's up to the students to really explore things. A lot of students, they just remain glued to either academics, or they get into like, I just want to spend time with my friends on Facebook or social media and so on, right? So I think every student must learn new things outside the classroom. Okay? At least one sport, right? You should attempt to be in a team, whether it's hockey or football or cricket or table tennis or basketball, whatever, right? Learn one sport and at least learn one performing art. Maybe, just singing, dancing, music, whatever, learn to play drums or any such thing. Every IIT would have clubs for all of these things, right? Students are really very active in each IIT, right? Of course, the levels may be slightly different. And again, as I've been saying, just talk to students in each IIT to see how easy it is for you to learn new things, right? different IITs, I mean, provide even very interesting things. Like in Kanpur, we have foreign language classes, right? So there's a choice. You can learn French, you can learn German, and these are not part of curriculum. I mean, the evening classes, Russian, Japanese, etc., right? Uh, you also get an opportunity to interact with the real India, so to say, right? So there will be clubs which will say, how can we improve life in our neighborhood? Working people who work in our houses as maids and stuff, right? How can we help them? How can we help construction workers? How can we help people in nearby villages? I think that's also another opportunity that people should definitely try learning about real India, because we want to be entrepreneurs tomorrow. And you can't sell your services or goods to 90% of India. It's no good. You're not going to be very successful. So understanding, society is very important, and most IITs would provide that opportunity again through student clubs and activities. Most IITs would have a series of lectures on all kinds of different topics. And I see many students saying, oh, I am a computer science student, I only want to listen to computer science talks, right? Of course, there is in an old IIT, there is like maybe 2-3 talks a day, because there are so many departments, so many people and so on. So you need to choose. But to say I'm not going to listen to anything other than my discipline or this thing, that's not taking advantage of an IIT system. Learn new things, listen to diverse set of people. So I think IITs offer too many things in a lot of different fields, and every student should try to take maximum advantage of that diversity of infrastructure and diversity of opportunities that IIT offers.
Anything else that you would like to address to the new students?
Okay, one more thing that I would like to tell the new students is that, think out of box. If you have come across, you have passed JEE Advanced, which is one of the toughest exams in the world, right? Then you will be successful. That's the assumption that you have to start with. And that's another reason why I said, this placement and all that is kind of nonsense, right? You will be successful. You just have to have that faith in you, right? And therefore, really, I know enough students who do think that they want to study this or that. And they're kind of afraid, am I taking the wrong decision? What if 4 years down the road, I'm not as successful? Right? I think that's the last thing that should be on your mind. I mean, if you have passed JEE Advanced, you will do anything in life. Okay? In fact, I often tell students of this class that if you should have very high aspirations for your life, right? If your aspirations are less than that I want to change the world, then you have very low aspirations. Now, if you are capable of changing the world, then you are, then to look at placement is useless. So think about what you want to do. And many people know what they're interested in, right? So in fact, there was a blog that I wrote a few years ago, which was essentially saying, what would I do if I was JEE rank number 1? Right? And, I had my list, and I said, the first option for me will be to join outside IIT system. I would not even join IIT system, right? And I said, to me, I've been to so many colleges and universities. Ashoka University is very, very attractive to me, and I would join Ashoka University if they will give me admission. And then, I kind of wrote this as a series of questions that some parent is asking me, right? So the parent is asking me, what would you suggest your son if he is JEE number 1? And I said, first thing I will do is to say, do what you please. And, she's not very happy, and she said, no, you will advise something. And I said, okay, my advice will be join Ashoka. And then she says, no, within IIT system, what would you do? What would you advise? I said, if he has no choice whatsoever, then I would say maybe do economics in one of the IITs. right? Because I love economics, right? And she says, no, what about engineering, right? Tell me something about engineering, right? And then the next option I say is, okay, I'm going to join whatever I mean, the favorite at that time, maybe computer science at IIT Gandhinagar. And then she's saying, IIT Gandhinagar, J number 1, why would you join IIT Gandhinagar? So I explained a little bit, and she says, no, tell me about, suppose you don't know whatever you have told me about IIT Gandhinagar. So then I said, okay, so the question that you are asking is that if I don't know anything about IITs, I don't know anything about any programs, I don't have access to any such information, I'm not allowed to ask any questions from or look at social media, and the only information I have is the counseling brochure. If that's the case, then of course there is nothing else I can do but to look at a last year's closing rank, and therefore I will join computer science at IIT Bombay. And she is like thrilled with this answer. That's okay. I'm going to suggest my son also to join computer science at IIT Bombay. Right? Don't be like that. Okay. Once again, if you have passed JEE Advanced, you have the capability of changing the world. Don't worry about small things like placement, like what will happen to my life and so on. Whatever is your interest, follow that.
Thank you, sir. So I really like this session, and I wish that I would have got the chance to watch this video when I was going to choose my branch.
Thank you very much, and I really enjoyed this conversation. And if you have any questions even later on, feel free to reach out to me. Any student who is listening to this can reach out to me. They will have to figure out my email address is easily available on the internet. But at least that much work you have to do. I'm not giving you that email address here, but I will reply to whatever emails I get.